because we have so many questions and because we have so many unknowns, to just be happy with not knowing.
No. True happiness and contentment comes in knowing.
Yeah.
For a reason, because if I were to bring something like this,
Yeah.
so if that was the case,
from there because we wanted to kind of engage as well.
Yeah.
So you can hear it, yeah?
if that was the case,
Yeah.
you wouldn't simply accept my word for it, would it? Because
Why wouldn't I?
so
I could.
you would say, yeah, it just popped into existence. Yeah? What kind of atheist are you then?
No, I'm
Critical thinking or uncritical thinking?
I'm critical thinking in that, like, if you tell me that you are a billionaire and you found all these ingredients to make something that looks like a bike but isn't traced to anyone.
No, I didn't say it's made. I say it just popped into existence. What I said popped into existence,
Yeah.
there was no bike, and
Yeah.
suddenly there's a bike.
That just doesn't happen.
I'm just telling this is what happened.
Well, how do
So-
I believe you that it happened?
So now I want you to tell me what are your reasons to disbelieve in what I just said. You are now actually an agnostic of what I said. So
Yeah.
what is the reason of your agnosticism?
My reason for
Or atheism, rather. You are atheist against my theory.
No, atheism and agnosticism are different.
No, not theological, on my bike.
On your bike.
Yes.
Well, my agnostic belief would be that if you want to believe that that bike just popped out of existence, then fair enough.
But why
my
would you
agnostic
disbelieve?
thing is that if I was looking at the, let's say we're in a room then. We are in a room with nothing in the room and the bike appears.
Yeah.
And maybe I've got my bike, my back turned. I'm facing the wall. My belief system is that I will believe you and your truth that you think that the bike disappeared. But I would like to see the processes that went into that because I just don't believe bikes disappear.
No processes. You just
know.
have a bike.
I
So-
want to see it.
So there was no processes. So you would be skeptical.
I wouldn't be skeptical. I would believe your view, and I would.
Really?
Yes, I would.
You
and
just
I would
believe in
defend-
this fairy tale that I make up, that this bike popped into
Because
existence?
if that fairy tale is your belief system,
No.
you have a right to that belief system,
No,
and
no.
I will fight to the.
My
to that right.
belief is not
If I
important.
don't see it pop into existence, then I don't
my
believe
my belief is not important. How do you
it. Yeah.
understand this claim? How do you reconcile this statement? How do you assess that statement? Is what we are.
The statement that the bike just popped into existence.
Yeah.
Well, then, I mean, I would try and understand what possible factors led to the bike popping into existence.
But you have nothing. You have nothing to compare. There's no one telling you the mechanisms. It just is there. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, if that happens, then I might start consider if a bike magically appears in a room whilst I'm facing the wall.
No, it's not what you're present in the room.
Okay.
You came into the room, and I told you this came into existence like that.
I will believe you, but I would protect your right to believe that, but then I would.
No,
want to
it's
see
not about
from-
my right. How would you assess this? Would you say, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
In reality, that bike popped into existence. Or would you say, it cannot?
I'd say it cannot,
Okay, good. Why not?
because I believe that bikes don't just appear in existence. That bikes are made in sweatshops, unfortunately, or that by very crafty engineers.
Craft engineer.
Why do you say
Yeah.
that? Because of what we observe, right?
Because of observation, yeah.
Okay. This sun, which
Yeah.
is hidden by the clouds,
Yeah.
did it pop into existence?
No.
Okay, so where did that come from?
The sun?
Yeah.
So I have to preface this. I'm not an astrologist, a scientist, or any of those things there. But from what has been taught to me, the sun is an accumulation of gases that sits in the universe. It's a star.
Where did the star, the gas, the primeval matter of all everything that exists come from?
That is a great question, but one that I don't burden myself with.
That's a different question to answer, whether you find it important enough or burdening yourself. The reality is, it's there.
Yeah.
The bike, remember, my bike is there,
Yeah.
but you would not consider the bike just can pop into existence because of, you look at the bike and you say,
Yeah.
it seems like so complex and put together in a certain way.
Yeah.
Our universe, likewise,
Yeah.
demonstrates
Incredibly complex, yeah.
demonstrate this kind of precise engineering.
Yeah, and that's why I strongly believe that the people that are trying to unpack that universe, the same way if I was a bike engineer and I walked into the room and I saw a bike that just appeared,
Yeah.
I would be running to that bike to tear it apart, to understand
Yeah.
what it is that makes it, how it was formed. And that's why I think that the work that astrologists, astronomers, and scientists is so important, because they're doing that right here and there. And because they're using the scientific method and they're using observation as a way of
Yeah.
dictating proof, I think that's great. I also
Yeah.
think that people that have faith and belief and,
Yeah.
and use that as a construct to understand that bike or that universe, fair dues, man.
If we were to ask the scientists,
Yeah.
they are not giving you a coherent explanation. What are you going to do then? Like exactly about the universe.
Well,
How do you, like, if you
Yeah.
ask the scientists,
Yeah.
how do you account for the existence of physical laws in the universe
Yeah.
and the implementation of the physical laws in our universe? They would not be able to give you a coherent explanation.
No, of course, but no one can, when it comes, because I think that's where science crosses the boundary into faith, because we haven't understood everything that's around us.
So
and
what-
we're still questioning it.
So scientists are not helping us.
Yeah.
So what is the reality? I would say the reality is it cannot be explained by saying it is a brute fact, it's just there, because
Yeah.
it's not given an explanation.
Why not? Why
It-
can't we just do that?
Oh, God exists, it's a brute fact. There you go.
We can just all have our own. We can all acknowledge what is the
No, a brute fact is you don't
Yeah.
question it, right? Accept it. So if I
Okay.
said God is a brute fact, it's there,
Yeah,
no
yeah,
explanation necessary,
Yeah, yeah.
then you can't say it's only for you, it should be for everyone else.
Yeah, of course.
So would you say God exists? Just because I say
Personally,
so?
not for me, no.
Right. So that means then, if I were to say the universe is with
But
its
that
physical
isn't a
laws.
brute fact. God not existing to me isn't a brute fact, just as God existing isn't a brute fact. Because I think belief is personal, it's
Yeah,
individual.
but I'm not talking about belief, I'm talking about now the reality
Okay.
on which we are going to base our belief on.
Yeah.
So the universe with its physical laws
Yeah.
and implementation of its physical laws,
Yeah.
I would not consider that it's just a brute fact because it's
Yeah.
not giving an explanation. Yeah?
Yeah.
If I were to now try to find an explanation, the one explanation that makes sense to me is that it has been brought about by something
Yeah.
that has the ability
Yeah.
and the will
Yeah.
and the power to do so.
Yeah.
And that is so, it is not the universe itself. Because while the universe is like, can a mother give birth to her own self, or she can give birth to others? It doesn't work like that. These things are dependent or contingent on something else. So the universe is dependent on something else for its own existence.
Yeah.
And it can only be depend on something that is independent. Because otherwise you will find an infinite regress. Like the universe was dependent on, say, A was dependent on B, and B on, and goes on. You cannot have this going infinitely in the past.
No, there was.
Do you know why? Because if that was the case, our
Yeah,
universe
that-
would never come
Yeah.
into existence.
Yeah. And it would never have a start point.
Yeah. So that means ultimately,
Yeah.
there is a start point who is independent, not caused, uncaused.
Yeah.
And that
Yes,
uncaused being is what we call the creator.
Yeah.
So this is a rational, intellectual position to take. So I cannot say this is my agnosticism about the reality. I would say this is my assertion about the reality. It has to be.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I would agree with the fact that, like, quote unquote, the creator can be everything from a religious figure to a scientific phenomenon of gases coalescing and bouncing against each other fast enough that, like, matter is formed and explodes, which is Big Bang Theory, right?
I'm talking about, when I talk about the creator,
Yeah.
this creator has at least 3 essential properties.
Okay. How do you know them?
For our universe as it's to be explained that way.
Yeah.
Our universe is undergoing transformation.
What are the 3 properties of the creator?
Yeah. To undergo this transformation,
Yeah.
you have to have at least the one who's making the transformation to be
Yeah.
self-aware,
Okay.
to have a will to make the
Okay.
transformation, and to have the ability to make that transformation. Awareness, will, and ability. For example, a bike, right? The wonderful bike you have. Now, to move that bike
Yeah.
from one place to the other,
Yeah.
imagine I want to do that, right?
Yeah.
Forget the word I said want, because that's
Yeah,
implying will.
You have the will.
Right.
Okay.
If I were to move this bike firstly, I need to be aware of myself, that I am aware, I'm self-conscious,
Yeah.
right? If I were dead, I won't be able to move it.
Yeah.
So I need awareness.
Of course.
And if I'm there and I don't make any intention, I just stare at this bike,
Yeah.
it's not going to move.
No.
I need to intend it to move. But if I had the self-awareness,
Yeah.
had the will,
Yeah.
I didn't have the ability, like my brother tied me in such a way,
Yeah.
I can't even move myself, do anything. Because I can't even do
Your
it.
eyes are covered. Yeah.
I can't move it because I don't have the ability. Three essential things required for any transformation to happen. This universe as it is, do
Sorry,
you
I
follow?
just tuned into that conversation there.
Maybe you can join that, right?
No. I like this one.
Yeah. So our universe, to say that it is as it is with all this transformation, we have to coherently understand that behind it must be a thing or a creator, originator,
Yeah.
who has at least these three essential properties. So now we are giving awareness and will to think that is not a matter. Material things are not self-aware and a volitional agent.
But do you think we're humanizing the creator too much?
Not humanizing, we are rationalizing the existence
But
of...
isn't rationalization an inherently human quality?
No, it's not a human quality. Self-awareness is not a human quality.
Is it?
No. Just because, are you saying you are the only self-aware individual or thing in the
okay.
universe?
No, not me.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the human species.
On the human
probably-
species?
The humans, not in the universe. I'm just that we know of. I think consciousness and self-awareness is innately human. And what evolves, what allows us to evolve, and to like.
So you are of the opinion that other than human, no other living organisms are self-aware?
I think not to the extent of humans. No.
Oh, that's a different question. But at least to the level
I
they are
think to the
self-awareness.
extent of forming a universe and creating.
If they were not self-aware, why are they hiding from the predators? Why are they running away from the predators?
No, I'm just saying. Okay, maybe yeah. There's a scale humans.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
one
That's
end.
a different scale. That's not the issue we're talking about. We're talking about self-awareness to the transformer of this universe.
Okay.
And these attributes and qualities, actually, the attributes of qualities, what we give to the Creator God.
Yeah.
So it's no longer a matter like the materialists want to believe in. The scientists want to believe in, it's just the exchange of gaseous matter and electrons and whatever. It's nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's on a different level where there's consciousness involved, awareness and will involved.
But how do you? So you believe in rationality over faith?
Our faith has to be rational. Otherwise you can believe in anything.
Yeah.
Otherwise you can believe in things popping up in existence from
But
nowhere.
wouldn't it be rational that because we have so many questions and because we have so many unknowns, to just be happy with not knowing?
No. True happiness and contentment comes in knowing.
I would agree with that, but I think it also comes in knowing which battles to decide to know of. Like,
Yeah, that's again knowing. Imagine now someone didn't know who their father is,
Yeah.
for example, in a society where a lot of one-parent family is happening, right?
absolutely.
Inherently inside, they feel they miss something. They don't feel the contentment. Once they know this is my father or mother, my father, for example, now I know. Okay.
Yeah.
So true contentment. That's why in the Quran, the author of the Quran, we believe is God,
Yeah.
says the tranquility and contentment comes in the remembrance of God.
Yeah.
When you remember, know, and think about God, that's when you have the true contentment, because He's the originator and maker, the transformer of this universe.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. I think rationality is also it's an inherently personal feeling. What is rational in terms of my belief systems is something that is built up through my upbringing, because I'm not born in the world with a predisposed, stamped rationality. Rationality is built up in all of us based on what we think makes logic and what makes sense.
Yeah, but rationality should be a 1 degree above logic, in which we use our intellect to understand. Okay, there's a difference between logic and rationality. Okay, there's a slight difference.
But
So
surely rationality exists for, like, two different people might look at the same action and one of them might say that's rational and the other person will say that's
no,
irrational.
rationality shouldn't be subjective like that. Rationality is a domain which should be independent of this subjectivism. It should be objective. It should be. That's why I'm saying it's not just logical. Where when you subscribe to
So
a
what is rationality? How does it?
when
differ
you
from knowledge?
subscribe to a, say, a model of logic,
Okay.
there's an Indian model of logic in which,
Yeah.
like, they call it paralogic, something
Okay.
like this.
What's called again?
Para, P-A-R-A, paralogic, which to you will defy logic. For example, you would say, look, can someone be finite and infinite at the same time? You and I would say, of course not. Two contradictory things cannot be true at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot be a married bachelor.
You cannot?
You can't
You
be a
can-
married bachelor.
You can't be a married bachelor because they're diametrically opposed in its meaning.
Yeah.
If you're married, you're not a bachelor. If you're a bachelor, you're not married.
Can I, in brackets. So in quantum physics, you can be in two states at the same time. Does it relate to that as well?
Quantum physics is a different thing. It's talking about the probability of the position of something like that. It doesn't mean they actually exist in two places at the same time.
It says that it stays at a particular state which can be represented by the superposition of
This
known states, known states, but the issue is that
Oh, can I
it's
steal one
not,
of those for my girlfriend? 'Cause
if you
she's
find it,
like you.
try to
You
find
want
it,
one?
then
incredibly allergic. Oh, that'd be
the
great. It's
particular
for her,
time,
not for me.
it will give you a particular state. It's not like that.
So for example, the example, after the current example, for the Mansur is this flipping a coin in the air. While it's flipping in the air, because the coin is either going to be head or tail, yeah? While it's flipping in the air, it's both states. So it's either one of the states when you measure it.
Yeah.
Is that similar thing what you're referring to?
There are similar things, but the main thing is that quantum physics does not say that contradictory things
Yeah.
can be
Same time.
can be same time. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
It's not like that.
It's not, yeah.
You've heard about Schrodinger's cat. Is it dead or alive?
That's the one, yes. Yeah.
Right?
About the one that's
It's not actually dead or alive at the same time.
Is it a cat with the
going?
uranium?
Thank you.
Is it the cat with the uranium?